So by 8:32, sorry, by 8:35 you can start. Moment is 8:35.
All right, no problem. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. So it's 8:35 already. So we can begin today's class, the two class. So, but I hope everyone can hear me and everyone can still see my screen.
Yes, we can all hear you and we can
Yeah.
see your screen.
All right. Thank you for that clarification. So, before we go into today's section, so just do a brief recap, summary of what we did on Monday. Yes, that was day one. So, we talked about cybersecurity in general. We now have a deep understanding of how cybersecurity applies to us and also to our space and also as a career as well. So, but today we are still on introduction to cybersecurity, beginners roadmap, and today is day two. So let me move to the next slide. So I've already introduced myself formally on Monday. For those of us that are just joining, we joined Monday. Yeah, so this is just a little info, a bio about me, your instructor. I'll be your instructor taking you on the introduction to cybersecurity. So that's time, waste of time, sorry. I'll just go straight to what we are going to do today. So our table of contents. So we talk about the psychology of hacking. We'll talk about social engineering. I made mention of social engineering yesterday. So have a brief understanding of what social engineering is. I know some of us have been hearing the terminology social engineering. So talk about social engineering, which is manipulating the human element talk about the human vulnerability, trust versus firewalls. Then we'll talk about exploiting emotions, urgency, fear, and authority. So then we will talk about the great trade-off. We will talk about security versus usability, talk about the friction of multi-factor authentication, that is MFA. We'll talk about privacy versus surveillance, the monitoring debate. Then we'll talk about defense philosophies. We should talk about defense in depth, the onion approach, talk about zero trust architecture, then we'll talk about security by design. Here we'll talk briefly about building security from the ground up, the shift left mindset. So these are just some of the content we're going to take today. Yeah, it's not something really that's bulky or much. But after we're done with today's class, we'll have an understanding of, a lot of things. We'll have an understanding of how these bad guys think. We'll now have a understanding, we'll have a deeper understanding of the psychology of cybersecurity generally. So this takes us to, sorry, give me a moment. Okay, yeah. So this takes us to the psychology of hacking, which is the human firewall. So the big idea, hackers don't always break into systems. They often just ask for the keys. As I made mention on Monday that the human is the weakest link when it comes to security. You can have all your firewalls, you can have all your intrusion detection system, your web application firewall, your antivirus, your anti-malware, your SOFOS, your MDN solutions, and all that, in place. You can have multiple layers of security. You can have a DMZ. You can have a probably you've done segmentation on your network where you isolate different environments and infrastructure. And but yet, it just takes one weak link, one person to, to just cause a breach in that particular environment or network. So this brings us to social engineering. So this is the art of human hacking. I call social engineering human hacking. So whereby we hack computers, humans can also be hacked. Yes. So it relies on the fact that humans are naturally helpful and trusting. So social engineering is basically talking about the manipulation of the human emotion. Yeah, and we made mention of something about insider threats on Monday while we are talking about different types of threat actors, and I made mention of insider threat, and I said insider threats can be in two ways. It can be intentional and unintentional. So unintentional aspect, that is where social engineering comes in as well, whereby these threat actors, these hackers, they can manipulate the human mind. Majority of us here has been one or two cases with experienced social engineering. Yeah, most of those times you will see most of all this email or most of this SMS that asks you click this link to win so amount of money, click this link to win so price and all that, or download this particular video or download this particular application to secure your phone, to secure your app. Those are examples of social engineering. We have different types of social engineering though. Yeah, but generally, we're just trying to understand what social engineering is. We have the phishing, we have the whaling, we have the which other one? There are a lot actually. Yeah, apart from phishing, we have the whaling, we have the smishing, we have the phishing. Yes, we have the tailgating and all that. But everything still points down to social engineering, basically trying to manipulate the human mind. You know, we have the piggybacking as well, yes. So then this brings us to the trust gap. So it is significantly easier to trick a person into clicking a link that it is to bypass $1 million technical firewall. Yeah, yeah. So you might have, as I said, you have all infrastructures or security setup, and it should take me months, days, weeks for me to be able to infiltrate that particular system, to be able to bypass your firewall, to be able to evade your firewall. As an hacker, you know some things about evasion techniques. So it will take me, why will I want to stress myself, you know, trying to, when I know that you have a well secure system, when I know there is someone in your company that, downloads video from third party, movies from third party websites, or someone I know that I can just send a link to, I've done my recon on that particular company, on that particular person, and I know almost everything about that person, probably due to my information gathering from social media, the social media account of that person. I already know what this person like and all that. I can decide to send, I already know all the employees that work in that particular company. So I can decide to just, create a efficient social engineering campaign and then send it to everyone in that company. definitely, because of out of lack of social engineering awareness or campaign, or and they've not done anything relating to social engineering simulation. They don't know anything about security or phishing, or know what not to click and what to click, or how to verify a phishing mail. They don't have any idea of it. Definitely, I will have one or two persons that will click on that link and download the malware into the system. And we talked about that on Monday, that it only takes just one person for you know to be infected, for the system, the whole system and network to be infected as well. So once I can compromise that particular system, get any if there's any sensitive information from that person's system, that is relating to the work or the person's personal file itself. From there, we can do some further attack. We can do privilege escalation. We can do lateral movement, and explain lateral movement on Mondays. Probably trying to the purpose of you hacking that person's system is not for you to get anything, but probably for you to move to other systems or other infrastructure network get connected on the network, other endpoints, or to hack the network itself. So I'm using that person system or no or device just as like an entry point. So depend on the what the attacker want to achieve, his or her mindset. So that is the trust gap. So that is what social engineering calls. So you spend imagine spending close to millions of naira or dollars implementing security, and it's just one person that's that they use to have access to your infrastructure, something you've been planning, doing a lot of compliance and everything. So that is why you need to always update yourself, always develop yourself, learn things, understand the world of what is happening in cyber space and cyber security. For companies, ensure you always post phishing simulation, social engineering simulation, they should be able to identify phishing mails, know all this, know about social engineering, know all the types of tricks of social engineering. And it's social engineering, that is what most of these Yahoo boys use, yes, to to take advantage of their clients, their victims. They make use of social engineering as well. So I know we have understanding of what social engineering is and how it works. So this takes us to the hack of emotions. So attackers bypass your logical brain by triggering three main form emotions: urgency, fear, and authority. Yeah. So anytime you see any message or any thing relating that that give you this urgent feeling or kind of fear or authority, just don't rush to probably open that mail or click on that link or download that particular file or give that person any of your information. Yeah, you see in most cases whereby you get a message probably on your SMS or your mail, or a call that is vision that that person is your bank, because everybody have a you have your account manager in your banks, yes, especially for most of these corporate accounts, and even personal accounts. I think at some point, if it's a bank, I don't know fintech, but if it's a bank, you should have your personal account manager. So someone can just disguise as that your account manager. Probably already find out from your mail or something that okay, this is the person, your personal account manager, or you are not aware of your own the name of your account manager and can disguise that as your personal account manager for your account and start asking you some sensitive questions, asking you to give them your PIN or asking you to give them your credentials, or things like that, or your name on your BVN. Yes, and because of okay, the person is claiming to be your account manager, you trust that person and you give that person those details, those credentials, and before you know it, it's a story for it's going to turn to a sad story, definitely. So urgency, your account will be deleted in 10 minutes, stops you from thinking clearly. You are scared, you are my account is going to be deleted, that kind of feeling. And the only thing you're thinking of is how to prevent that from happening. You're not thinking about anything. You're not thinking out of the box. You've thrown away your logic reasoning, and now you're not dealing with emotion. You're not dealing with more of emotions than thinking logically. On a normal day, you won't be hesitated to click that link or to probably do anything that will make that will make you know that will push you to cause such damage to yourself. So out of that urgency, out of that immediate urgency, you just click on that link or you just download that application, or you do what that person is telling you to do. You send that credential, that PIN, that password to that person. Yeah. So they like to use a form of a force and a form of urgency to make you do that thing that they want. So that takes us to fear. A virus has been detected on a device, and most of the time we encounter this. So it makes you panic and click fix. And by the time you click fix, you've you are thinking you are probably downloading an anti-malware or you are fixing, but you are doing the opposite. You are destroying your device, your computer or your laptop or your phone. You click fish, you download the malware or a spyware or a virus into your system, and before you know it, it's been corrupted. And that is how you be compromised. And if you're connected to a network where they can perform some other form of kind of attacks like the lateral movement, privilege escalation, pivotal attacks, and all that, that is how the whole system have been compromised and the network has been compromised as well, despite all the firewalls or whatever security mechanisms that we are put in place to shield that particular brand or company. So, authority, impersonating a CEO or IT manager to make you feel like you must obey. I've already given us a scenario, that's which is your account manager. So this is for personal reason, but for when you're working in a company, someone can claim to be your CEO or your IT manager, and you'll be like, I don't want to, this instruction, this mail is coming, this message is coming from the top, the C levels, the manager or your CEO. You don't want to get out of fear of probably being sacked or something like that. This is person of authority, someone of power. Yeah, you didn't even go through the mail. Probably just because you saw the name of your CEO or the IT manager on the mail. Yeah, you just click on it and and not even aware. You didn't look because you don't know how to identify phishing emails and all that. That of because of the name that may carries. It's someone that that has authority. Then just click on that link or you download that particular or you send that information. It might probably CFO might ask you to send your account details with your PIN or whatever, or something like that. And before you know you've been compromised. So before I continue, can everyone still my audio be enough and can we still see my screen? Let's confirm if you can see my screen. If you can still hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, and we
All
can see
right.
the screen as well.
All right. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks so much. So, moving to the next content. So we talk about just give me a moment. We talk about the human vulnerability, trust versus firewall. So, you have the strongest detail vault in the world, but it doesn't matter if someone inside inside opens the door for a stranger. We've talked about this already. You might have all the firewalls set up, all the security mechanisms, and it just takes an insider inside the house already to open the door. You might in your house, let's say a robbery happened, yeah, and if you have a very big gate, you have a big gate, you have a dog, you have a barbed wire, you have all the security mechanisms. Yeah, so but out of fear, probably the robber is telling that, oh, if you don't put this door, we are going to if you come in, kill you or do this. Then though they can't find their way in from outside because of those security mechanisms. Those firewalls you've put in place, those walls and fences you've put in place as well. It just takes someone to from the inside to open the door for them. So that is how how weak the human can be. Yes. So the technical firewall, the wall of code, so designed to block unauthorized digital traffic 24/7. So that is what firewall, that's the technical firewall. That is what it does when you hear firewall. So what it does is to prevent, it helps to manage the traffic that goes in and come out from that particular network or that particular system. So it's designed to block unauthorized digital traffic 24/7. So it's hard to break because it follows strict logical rules. So the network administrator or the security expert has already set some rules. So for that firewall, so because of those rules, those strict rules, an attacker can't find his or her way in inside. So it can't send any packets that is going to that has any malicious code or malicious reason. So the weakness, it cannot stop a legitimate user from doing something dangerous like clicking a bad link. So it can prevent all kinds of traffic or packets from entering into the system, featuring it. There's what we call packet featuring. So any bad request, any bad packet that you know that is going to be harmful. The firewall can do that, but the firewall cannot prevent you from clicking a phishing link that was sent to you through your mail, through your SMS. The firewall cannot stop you from giving someone your credentials or giving someone sensitive information over a call or over WhatsApp. The firewall won't do that. It's not, it can't do such. So That is the technical firewall. You've seen the strength and we've seen the weakness. So this brings us to the human firewall. That is the wall of trust. The technical firewall is the wall of code. The human firewall talks about the wall of trust. So based on emotions, helpfulness, and social norms, what is the vulnerability when it comes to the human firewall? Now, humans are programmed to be helpful and trust others. Yes, at some point, in as much we can be logical, sometimes we can also have, we can also emphasize, we can also have this emotion. We can have this sympathy at some time. Yes, empathy and sympathy at some time. So that is what most of all these hackers and attackers they play on, they take advantage of. They take advantage of our sympathy, take advantage of our empathy. They know as a human, except you're not a human, or though I know some people don't have sympathy again, like with what is going on currently in the world, or the Boko Haram, the killings and all that. They've lost their sympathy because if they have sympathy, you won't feel all right, taking a life of a human being that is not trying to take your life. Though we know there's out of self-defense and all that and adrenaline, but you intentionally trying to kill someone, you've lost your sympathy. But so they know all these things. Even as much as those people too, they've lost their sympathy and empathy. At some time, it's still coded into their DNA. There's still a way, they can be break as well. So humans are programmed to be helpful and trust others. Hackers exploit this by pretending to be someone they aren't. So, what's the reality? It takes a hacker weeks to bypass a fire. As I said, it can take you months, can take you years, days for it to be able to bypass a firewall, using what we call evasion techniques, and ethical hacking and penetration testing. But it takes only 30 seconds to trick an employee into giving up a password over the phone. Is that funny? So that is why you, as a human, as you are spending money, spending time securing your infrastructure, your network with firewalls, security mechanisms like the IDS, the IPS, anti-malware, antiviral, anti-Trojan, and all that. You should also spend money and time also developing yourself and updating on understanding how what is going on in the security world and the cyberspace and all that. Educating yourself so that you won't be a a uh, a breach to be exploited. So basically, that is what this is talking about. The human firewall is talking about. So that brings us to why trust is hacked easier than tech. So we talk about logic and talk about emotion. So logic versus emotion. Firewalls use maths. Yes, they are being coded with some mathematical concepts. What we call cryptography in mathematics and computer science. So they've been there's some aspect of mathematical modeling that have been used to create most of those security codes, that helps the firewall to run. So firewalls use maths. Maths doesn't have feeling. Yeah, math is logical, but the humans use feelings, which is emotion. So it's very hard for you to break most of these mathematical codes, most of these cryptographies and encryption. Yes, but it's very easy for you to manipulate a human feeling. Yes. So the part of least resistance, attackers are like water. They flow towards the easiest opening. Today, that opening is usually a person's inbox or phone. Yeah, I might scan out the old port, look for open ports, look for vulnerabilities. I can't find it. I know it's going to take me time, but when I know, I have access to someone's phone, or have access to someone's account, it won't take many things to just do a study on that person, try to social engineer that person, manipulate that person into clicking a link. The moment I know that once that person click the link, that is it, and the system has been compromised. So that takes us to the next slide. So you have this is like a scenario. So imagine a bank with 3 foot thick steel walls and laser sensors that, yeah, you see most of all these movies where you see probably a thief is trying to rob a bank, or trying to have access to the vaults, and you see some red lights. Those are laser sensors. Because by the time you trigger, you just put your leg, or it sense your any motion, it triggers an alarm and automatically lock the bank up and all that. So that is just what this is talking about. So imagine a bank with 3 foot thick steel walls and laser sensors. Now imagine a hacker walks up to the back door wearing a janitor's uniform, carrying a heavy box, and asks an employee to hold the door because their hands are full. The employee helps out of kindness. That is the emotion we're talking about. A firewall doesn't reason with emotions, reason with logic and strict instruction. So, and the bank is robbed. This is the difference between a firewall and a human. So, because that human this is part of social engineering. I think that is things that is piggybacking or tailgating or something like that in social engineering. So because of you are trying to be kind. You see someone hands, so the person can just come in the form of someone that is old as a janitor. This person hands is full of things, so let me help this person. The fact that the person is even a janitor, a cleaner. Yeah, let me use the word cleaner here in Nigerian here. So he's a cleaner. You feel pity for that person. You feel this kind of emotion for that person. You let the person inside because probably that door might even the door might have biometrics or might have a access card reader or whatever, a eye scanner or whatever security mechanisms are put in place. And the person doesn't have access to that, but because the person was able to, manipulate you emotionally, you are able to give the person access to that infrastructure. So let's talk about exploiting emotions. So the hackers tool sets. So in cybersecurity, the shortest distance between a hacker and your data is an emotional trigger. So when we feel intense emotion, our logical brain shuts down and our reactive brain takes over. So we've talked about the urgency. Sorry, we've talked about the urgency, which is the race against time. Then we talk about we are going to talk about the tactic. So the techniques and way most of these hackers try to exploit our emotions, or threat actors try to exploit our emotions. So creating a high pressure situation where you feel you must act now or do something important. So those are the tactics they use. We talked about the urgency and the fear and the authority. Then the hook. Your password expires in 10 minutes or limited time offer. Click here to claim your prize. I know most of us have seen most of all these kind of images and pop-ups. We call them adverts. Yeah, probably you're browsing on a site or something like that, or someone clicks send a link on you or a link to you on a WhatsApp group or to your or DM and tell you to click this link and that this is a company is offering so discount, so thing and all that. So why it works? It forces you to skip the verification step because you're afraid of missing a deadline. So you don't lose an opportunity. You don't lose something. So you won't think you show your logical sense. Now you're not working with your emotion. As a human. So they know these things. They know how to manipulate the human emotion to be to get what they want. They know that that a lot of people are not aware of all these things. I can tell you now that a lot of people are falling for different kind of funny scams. Yes, because of they're not aware of how all these things happen. So expecting still on expecting emotion, the hackers took it. So we've talked about urgency. Let's talk about the fear. So the tactic making you believe something terrible has already happened or is about to happen. So that is what the fear is talking about. Then the authority, impersonating someone with power, so you feel you cannot say no. I already give us an example of your bank manager, your CEO, or the CFO of a company, that is the chief financial officer of a company. So let's have like a scenario story on this as well. So a hacker once took down a major corporation just by calling a junior employee. He pretended to be a frantic IT director, which has authority, who was in a meeting with the CEO and needed the password right now, or he would lose his job. That is fear. Imagine someone claiming to be probably you've not seen your CEO before, or you've not have like a formal call from your CEO asking, yeah, asking for something or something like that. Yeah, or your IT director. So out of that fear, out of that no urgency, you want to do what that person said. So the employee wanting to be helpful and scared of the director give it up in seconds. No code was broken, only emotion was expected. The hacker doesn't need to bypass any firewall, doesn't need to write any code, to crack any encryption or anything. All he just needed to do was just to manipulate someone that they know that have such information that can be useful to them to gain such sensitive information from them. So this brings us to the great trade-off. Before I continue, please can everyone still hear me? Can everyone still see my screen?
Yes, we can hear you. We can see your screen.
All right. Thank you for that. So let's talk about security versus usability. A perfectly secure computer is one that is turned off and buried, but is useless. We must balance protection with making things easy to use. I talked about this on Monday, where I talked about functionality and security. Don't allow in the process of you implementing security, functionality is being reduced. User experience is being reduced. So it's yeah, you're already bridging. We talked about the CIA triad yesterday. You're already bridging what the CIA triad is talking about, literally is the availability. So um you should ensure that you have enough security and ensure that that security is not preventing usability as well. Then this brings us to the friction of MFA, which is multi-factor authentication. So a multi-factor authentication, like a test code, adds an extra step to your day, but is the single best way to stop unauthorized logins. Fine, the hacker has already gotten your login password, your login details, your username, your password, your email, yeah, and all that. Yeah, but if you have 2FA, most times if you notice when you want to log into most of all these your banking apps, it asks you to set up 2FA, or it asks you send an OTP code to your Gmail or your phone. So even though the someone already have access to your username and password, they try to log in to ask them for OTP. That is a that is a 2FA authentication or multi-factor authentication. So you should also ensure that you implement multi-factor authentication on assets that we know that have sensitive information and all that, especially our bank apps, our social media platforms, yes, and some other infrastructures that you can make use of 2FA. It might not be just only OTP. You can multi-factor authentication can also serve as let's say, for example, in a company, you have to go through the gate first. So even if an attacker got access through the gates, when he wants to go into the premises itself, there's a biometrics machine there. That also can serve as a 2FA. So there are other ways, there are other forms of multi-factor authentication. So it's not only just OTP code. We have token as well. If most of us that go to these banks, we have access to most of these I think it's this token, some ring or something like that. That's also another form of multi-factor authentication. Then let's talk about privacy versus surveillance. So organizations monitor network to catch hackers, but it raises a big question. How much of a digital activity should your boss or the government be allowed to see? So we are going to talk about this in the next slide. Okay. So still on the security versus usability, which is finding the balance. So security and usability are on opposite ends of seesaw. If you can make a system 100% secure, it's sometimes impossible to use. If you make it 100% easy to use, it becomes a playground for hackers. So you have to ensure you find balance. The perfectly secure computer, a computer that is turned off, unplugged from the internet, and locked in safe, is perfectly secure. As far as it's not connected to the internet, as far as it's turned off, it's secure. Yeah, out of fear. It's secured. Nobody can breach it. Nobody can hack it. But at the same time, it's useless, which is going against the is going against CIA trial. So it's not functioning. It's not functioning, and there's no usability. It's not being used. It's not performing the task it's meant to perform. So the perfectly usable computer, a computer with no password and open remote access, is easy for everyone to use, including criminals. What is the goal? We look for the sweet spots where the system is safe enough to protect data, but simple enough that people don't try to find workarounds like writing password on sticky notes. So let's talk about the MFA. We now understand what the MFA is. So let's talk about it a little bit. Let's just talk more about it for a while before we go to the next slide. So what is the core concept of what a multi-factor authentication is? So it's the digital seat belt. It might feel like a chore to put on, but it saves lives and accounts during a crash. Yes, sometimes it might be stressful. Want to log into my app and I already asked me for OTP again, or in the process of logging it, if I delay like probably 1 minute, it logs out. I have to log in all over again. But these are all security measures that have been put in place to, ensure that those um those components and our applications are well secured. What is the friction? This refers to the extra 10-50 seconds it takes to check your phone for a code or tap a security key. To a busy user, it feels like an annoying obstacle. I know for some of us who've experienced this. To me personally, at some point it annoys me, but I know the security implementation, of why this is happening. So, yeah, so I know what can happen if this is not put in place as well. So the protection, even if an hacker steals your password, they are stopped cold because they don't have your physical phone. Yes. The reality, MFA stops over 99% of automated account hacks. The inconvenience of a 10-second delay is a small price to pay to avoid weeks of recovering a stolen identity. So let's talk about the privacy and surveillance, the monitoring debate. So what is the core concept? Yeah, to catch a thief in a building, you need security cameras. Yes, it's another part of security mechanisms that need to be put in place. To catch a hacker in a network, you need to monitor the data. You have what we call the IDS, the IPS, the firewall, and we have SIM. That is taking us. We talk about most of all these things. The tree when we're talking about different carriers in cybersecurity. So we have the Security Operations Center. They have what we call a SIM2, which is the Security Incident Event Management tool that they use to monitor, every kind of form of the systems that are connected to it to monitor, if there's any kind of cyber attack, that's probably they're trying to breach through the system and all that. So that's what they do, and that's what they do in the Security Operations Center, which is the SOC room. So the security view, companies need to watch the network to spot suspicious behavior, like an employee suddenly downloading 5,000 files at 3 a.m. Yeah, in most companies now, that's where you can have access to the company Wi-Fi and all that. So why will you be using the company Wi-Fi? Is against some company policies to make use of their Wi-Fi to download your files. Some of them you can't even put Netflix on your phone. You can't on the company system. You can't use your own personal device. Even though if you're using your personal device to connect to the internet, because they have in cybersecurity, we have what we call BYOD, bring your own device, whereby you can bring your own device to work, use it for work, and connect to the company's Wi-Fi. So they are trying they watch the network to spot suspicious behavior, like an employee suddenly downloading 5,000 files at 3 a.m. Then the privacy view. Employees feel that being monitored, reading emails or tracking website history is an invasion of their personal space and trust. Yeah, for me personally, I am kind of against this, but the thing now is that in cybersecurity, we have acceptable user policy. Before you become a fully employee. You go through an induction whereby they will tell you about the company rules. They will send you NDA for NDA documents, send you rules and regulation and all that. Yeah, and we have what we call AUP, Suitable User Policy in cybersecurity, whereby you know that okay, we are giving you this system, we are giving you access to such information, we are giving you access to so thing, so assets and components. These are the rules and regulations. This is what we are going to do. You have to accept it. So it's already, written there. You sign on it that okay, you accept whatever the company has laid as their policies, their rules and regulations for you to follow. So, but still, it's funny because sometimes most of us might have our personal things on our system. You might have your WhatsApp on your system, and there are solutions like the Sophos Jump Cloud that can track sites that you're visiting, that can block sites that you're visiting, that can see everything you're doing on that computer. At some point, some of them even can be as a form of spyware and tracking some tracking softwares as well to be able to track most of they can track the system or the device. Sometimes it can be in two ways. It's for security reasons, probably so that if that device is stolen, it can be tracked or it can be wiped off, or so that to ensure that you don't go to a site that is already corrupted with a malware and you download malware into the system, or someone have access to your system. Yes. So that is one of the major reasons why companies, they put the management puts these security mechanisms in places. But at the same time, sometimes it can interfere, it can invade your own private information. So the best thing to do is to try as much that if it's if you are using a bring your own device to the office, ensure that I won't advise anyone to use your own personal device to work for the company. If the company is not giving you a system that you are meant to use your own device, try to ensure that you limit the things you have on your system, your phone, because as you're entering the company, you sign the AUP policy, acceptable user policy. Yeah, whereby they'll tell you about all these things then and you have to accept. So if the company is giving you a system, try as much not to put your personal things on that system. If you feel that okay, they're going to track, try as much not to use it to visit some sites that that you don't want your company to do because they actually see it when you visit some sites. Do some of these tools they block most of all these sites. You can't have access to most of all these sites like the Betty site, Netflix, and all those things and all that. So that is just it when it comes to the privacy view. So let's talk about the conflict. So where is the line? Does a company's right to protect its data outweigh an individual right to digital privacy? So to talk about this now. So that is just basically what this is talking about, privacy versus surveillance. So in the process of a company trying to implement surveillance and security mechanisms, it at some point it can invade your privacy. Yes, but at the same time, do yeah, most employees sue companies to court for invading privacies and all that. So, but what now the thing now is that's why most time when you go to some places, you see some of these you see like a signboard or something that will tell you that oh this be careful, this place is under monitoring and surveillance. Yes, because if there's no such kind of sign, yeah, telling people coming to that place that you are being monitored and there's CCTV cameras here, you have the right to sue them to court because you feel like you are trying to invade your privacy. You are seeing everything you're doing, and most of these CCTV also have microphones inside. They can hear everything you say. So that is what the conflict between privacy and surveillance. But at the end of everything, everyone have to come to an understanding. Yes, you have to know what you should do and what you should not do to prevent such issue. Yeah, you can prevent your company from invading your privacy. As I said, to them it's just security mechanisms they're putting in place, but at sometimes it can lead to something else. So we just have to have a bigger picture and understanding of these things. So there was once a let's talk about a story. Let's give a scenario on this. There was once a company that forced employees to change 20 character password every 30 days. So in PCI, DSS, and ISMS, so those are aspects of GRC in cybersecurity. There's a policy that tell you that you must change your probably your password in every some I think it's 3 months generally, but some company might decide to do that on 30 days, and it can be stressful changing every time one day or the next 1 month, you are changing your password again. At some point, you run out of passwords and all that, but it's for security reasons as well. So it was ultra secure. Sorry, let's start from then. There was a once a company that forced employees to change 20 character passwords every 30 days. It was ultra secure on paper. However, because it was too hard to remember, which is bad usability, every single employee wrote their password on a post on a post-it note under their keyboard. Imagine. A hacker walked in as a fake cleaner and stole every person in the building in 5 minutes. So much security actually created a massive hole. So because of so much implementation of security, we like security versus usability. And it's not easy creating passwords and remembering it, sharing you have too much password and everything. Some people I know people till now that write password on their books, store passwords on their phone notes, on their sticky note on their system. That is it. We are talking about sensitive passwords, all that. So you have to ensure that in as much as security, you have to ensure that everything is balanced. So that is what this scenario is telling us about what it is what it's talking about. So this brings us to the difference in depth, the onion approach. Can everyone still hear me before we continue?
Yes, we can still hear you.
All right. Thank you. So what is the difference they're talking about? Yeah, let's give everyone, let me give you guys a scenario. The onions, we all know what an onion is. The onions have different layer. Before you get to the last layer, you have to peel and peel and peel till you get to the last layer. So that is what the onion approach is talking about. So we never rely on a single lock. If a hacker breaks one layer, they should immediately run into another layer. So this is talking more about the multi-factor authentication, but why this is more secure than the multi-factor authentication is that the multi-factor authentication can have like just two. Yeah. But different depths have more than two, can have different layer. So you can have a firewall. If the hacker tries to break the firewall, or they're able to perform an evasion technique and they bypass the firewall, you have your IPS, you have your SIM, which is a security event incident event manager tool. Then you have some other form of anti-malware, antivirus. So these can be form of different defense depth layers. Or in a building, you can have CCTV camera, you can have the gates, you can have the security man, you can have the biometrics, you can have the whatever different physical security mechanisms. So that even before so that the thief or the attacker have access to the main infrastructure in that building, it will take them time. So let's talk about the layers. Like an onion, security is built in circles around the data. So the data is the last part of it, and there are different layers of security mechanisms that have been built around it to cover to shield that data. What is the benefit? So before we go to the benefit, let's talk about the layers of the of security. So we have physical, we have network, and we have data. For the physical, example is locks on the server room, doors, and camera. For the network, we have firewalls and monitors to watch traffic. Then for the data, we have encrypting files. So even if they go stolen, they cannot be read. Even after they've if probably after they've gotten access to the data, they've hacked the system, they've bypassed the firewall, they use evasion techniques to bypass the firewall. Those files have to be encrypted. Yes. So that even if they get the file, if they get that data, they can't read it because it's not in plain text. It's very hard for them to decrypt it. So they can't see the content of that file. They can't see the information of that file, of that particular data. So this is an example of a defense in-depth, the onion approach. So what is the benefit of it? It buys us time as probably a security professional or a school hacker or a cybersecurity professional. You're probably that you work in a cybersecurity firm that also offer a SOC as service, as a security operations center as a service. You might help other companies to monitor their network, their infrastructure as well. So it buys them time. While the hacker is usually trying to crack the second or third layer, our security teams have time to detect them and kick them out. So because of them trying to break through each of those layers, they are looking for a way to ensure that they don't go through. They're looking for a way to block them out, to push them away or take them out finally, or even track them. Whereas digital forensics, find a way to track them. We do reverse engineering, track them, and before you know it, before they get to the main thing, they don't have access to it. They've been kicked out, or they've been arrested, or they've been blocked. So this brings us to the zero trust architecture. Never trust, always verify. So what is this talking about? The old way of thinking, the old way of thinking was trust but verify. The new way is never trust, always verify. So I will explain this to us once I'm done with everything. So what is the old way talking about? So if you're inside the office building or logged into the Wi-Fi, the system assume you are a good guy and let you see everything. Yes, because you're already inside the building. There's no restriction. You have access to everyone in the building. You're connected to the Wi-Fi. There's no restriction. You can do anything, connect to anywhere, go to any website, download anything and all that. You're not restricted to visit some sites and all that. So what's the zero trust way? It doesn't matter if you are sitting in the CEO's chair or working from a coffee shop. The system treats every single click as a potential threat. So you don't trust anything. You have trust issues. You have to have trust issues when it comes to cybersecurity. Yes, you have to question everything. You don't just approve everything because okay, this person, even though if it's the CEO asking for this particular thing, there have to be procedures, there have to be process the CEO must follow. This is just to ensure security is being put in place and all that. What is the rule? You must prove who you are, what device you are using. So now most Wi-Fi now. So all our systems have MacBook, have IP addresses, and we have MAC addresses. I was trying to remember MAC addresses. So a MAC addresses is like okay, it's like a way of identifying your system physically, just like we have our house address and all that. So that whenever you want to go to this house, you want to look for this person, you know you're going to this particular address. So our systems and our devices, our smartphones have MAC addresses, have what we call IMEI numbers for mobile phones. So when you connect to your Wi-Fi, for that Wi-Fi to be able to know that okay, this is this person connected, even though if you have the password, I can set it on my Wi-Fi that okay, I want to limit it to so people to connect to my system, to my Wi-Fi. Even you having the password, just because of your MAC address is not whitelisted on the configuration of that Wi-Fi, you have the password, but you can't connect because your MAC address is not in the whitelist. I can create a whitelist having the MAC address of devices that I want to connect to the internet. And you see, for those of us that have routers and all that, you can check that. You see that there's an option for that, or you can use a blacklist, whereby I've mapped out some MAC addresses, computers that don't want to connect on the internet. So even with your password, as far as that MAC address have been marked as in a blacklist, you won't connect to that internet. Or if your MAC address is not on the whitelist, you can't connect to that Wi-Fi, you can't connect to that system. So that is what the zero trust architecture is talking about. You must prove who you are, what device you are using, and why you need that specific file every single time you try to access it. There have to be a process, there have to be a procedure you must follow just because of to ensure security is being put in place. So this brings us to security by design. We'll talk about this. This should be the last module for today. So building from the ground up. So you only build a skyscraper and then try to add the foundation later. You build the foundation first. So it's not after you build a software. Okay, someone saying something.
Okay. Before you continue this slide, I
Okay.
would like to ask if anyone has any question. Those joining from YouTube and those of you on Zoom here, do you have any questions so far from what he has said? Please, if you do, um, I would like you to, you know, if you're on Zoom, just indicate and unmute your mic, ask your question. For those of you that are on YouTube, please drop your question in the comment section and we are going to take it. So far, okay. So, sir, you can continue. When any question pops up, I will call your attention to that.
All right. All right. Thank you. So as I was saying, you won't build a skyscraper and try to add a foundation later. You build the foundation first. So when you're building a software or you're trying to set up a network or or an infrastructure, you have to ensure you put security in place from the starting from each block you used to building that software or network infrastructure. It's not probably after you've done everything, then you're now starting to go implement security there. It's not going to make sense. So the both on mistake. Many companies build a cool app first and try to add security. Fine, yeah. Most developers think about more about functionality. Most network engineers think about functionality. Most IT guys think about functionality. You build a cool app. It has a very nice user UI and US design. Yeah, you've done the product management very well, the product design very well. You didn't think about security all the way. It's probably after you've done, you build the app and everything, you start trying to implement, some security mechanisms on it. There's no way you're going to, there will still be loopholes, there'll still be vulnerabilities. So this usually results in leaky software full of hole. So what's the professional way? We include security experts at the very first meeting. We asked, how could a hacker break this before every single code is ever written? You have to think, you have to have a two mindset, which is the developer and the hacker's mindset, whereby you think first, okay, this particular code I'm writing, how can it be exploited? What are the vulnerabilities attached to such? You have to think about this in the process so that each code you're writing, you're implementing a security mechanism in it. Instead of making use of HTTP, you ensure that that app or that website connects through HTTPS. So these are the things you have to think about. And watch the results. Software that is naturally resistant to attacks because security is part of its DNA, not just a sticker placed on top. So that is the end game of the end goal of security by design. We are talking about, okay, implementing security from ground up. In the process of you building that particular app or setting up that network infrastructure, you are thinking of security in every step, every phase of the building process um software or network infrastructure, or even deploying apps on the cloud and all that deployment. So this brings us also to where we talk about the shift left mindset. That is still on security by design. So in the past, security was the final check before an app was released. So normally most companies have built all their apps, their softwares, they've deployed their apps on the cloud before they start thinking of security, implementing security. So, but what the shift left means, it means moving security from the very end of the project, the right, to the beginning, which is the left. So you're implementing security from the starting of the project, from the first, line of code of that particular app. You are thinking about security all the way, not after you build everything. You're not trying to implement, you're then trying to implement a security, for a very sophisticated and complex app. There will be loopholes. There definitely going to be vulnerability because there's not everything you cover up. there's not everything you see. So that is what cybersecurity teaches us. That is what cybersecurity is trying to talk about. So there are processes. So that is where this compliance comes into, which is the ISMS, the PCI DSS, and all that. Talks about implementing security in every step you take. Not just building apps or creating network infrastructure, or deploying apps on the cloud and all that. It's talking about generally of anything relating to security, that has to be secured. So so this we are going to talk about the security in the LZLC, which is the software development life cycle. So talk about the planning. We identify potential threats before a single line of code is written, which is threat modeling. There is a part in cybersecurity which is threat modeling, CTI. Yes, threat modeling. So we talk about the coding, which developers use secure coding standards to prevent common holes like weak password or data leak. So any of us here that software developers, website designer, you have to ensure that you go through a secure coding course, to understand okay how to write code securely, not just for functionality but also for security purpose. Yes. So we have testing. We run automated scans, security scans while the app is being built, not after it's finished. As you are creating your app, you should always try to run scans. We have what we call vulnerability assessment. You also try to do lot of vulnerability assessment on on those apps as you are building it before you launch it or before it's being deployed. And then lastly, we have the deployment, which is the app is released with hardened settings, making it difficult to target from minute one. So in the process of planning, you've implement security from the planning stage, the coding phase, the testing phase to the deployment. Even while deploying, you're also implementing security, ensuring there's no loophole or there's no vulnerability, while deploying and after deployment. So why shift left? Yes, so it's cheaper. Fixing a security flaw during the design phase cost almost nothing. Fixing it after a breach costs millions. Yes, if you want to conduct a vulnerability assessment and penetration testing on your infrastructure, you have to pay like millions of naira. But if your network engineers or your software engineers have a shift left mindset, they understand secure coding, they understand network security. In the process of them creating that software, creating or developing that network infrastructure and deploying, or your cloud engineers, if they have the security mindset, the shift left mindset, from the starting, from the foundation, they implement security so that by the time you're done with creating the software and all that or deploying it, if you are going to run anything related to security, it's not much. You're not spending extra cost for it, or you have to pay to conduct a vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. So it's stronger. Security is baked into the DNA of the software rather than being a sticker slapped on the outside. And also, it's faster. By finding bugs early, we avoid the emergency fix that usually delay a product launch. From my own experience, yeah, I've experienced a lot of this very well. Most companies they get hacked after they've launched their app. So they at some point they have to take their apps, their softwares from play stores, from the internet. They'll go out of the probably at that moment they're not offering services to their clients and all that. Before you have to relaunch that app on the internet or you put it in the play stores or app stores, they have to do a proper penetration testing, a cyber security audit, to ensure they meet up, and other compliance as well before they can deploy that. And this can take months, for them to able to achieve this and we deploy the app back on the internet for their customers and clients to make use of. Then we talk about the dev. Sorry, sorry about that. We talk about the DevSecOps reality. So security is no longer just the security team's job. It is a shared responsibility between developers, operations, and security, which brings us to the DevSecOps. So security is not just you shouldn't just put security on. Probably there's a security team in the company. Security starts from you. Yes, security starts from every one of us here. You first of all have to have the shift left mindset. You have to, be able to secure your own personal thing first. You have to be able to secure yourself first. Just like how they used to put it, you have to learn how to defend yourself first. Self-defense starts from you. Before you even involve the police or you involve the law enforcement, you have to also learn how to defend yourself first. Okay, so imagine building a car and only checking if the brakes works after it's on the highway at 100 meter per hour mph. So this is the old way of security. And why the shift left means you test the brakes while the car is still a drawing on a piece of paper. we don't just add security, we build it into the foundation. So you are trying to test the brakes and the brake of a car that you built, and you put the car on the express road and you're driving at 100 mph, yeah, or 100 kilometer, yeah, per hour. And it's not going to make sense because you definitely know that if that brake should malfunction, it will lead to loss of life. But in the process of you building the car, while in the is in the manufacturing stage, you have systems that can help you check how fast the brake can work and if the brake is functional. So that is what the shift left mindset is talking about. So conclusion, your role in the digital frontier. What is the big picture here? To generalize everything we've learned today, we've heard today, and all that. Over the last 2 days, we've learned that cybersecurity is not just about writing code or buying expensive software. It is a continuous battle of strategy, psychology, and design. The threat is a process. Attackers don't just guess passwords. They use the kill chain, exploit our emotions, the fear, using fear, urgency, and authority, and target our attack surface, which is the Internet of Things, cloud, and humans. And the human element, the most sophisticated technical firewall in the world, is completely useless if a human willingly opens the door. We've talked about this inside our threats. The defense is a culture. We don't just react to attacks, we build fortress using defense in depth. We verify everyone with zero trust, and we shift left to build security into our software networks and cloud from day one. Thank you. Yeah, that is the end of today's section. Thank you. Yeah, I hope we're able to pick one or two things from this section so we can ask our questions. We all need clarifications, all that.
Thank you so much for this session. I learned a lot actually. I've been in this space for a while.
We all need clarifications,
Despite that,
all that.
the the session was insightful. I don't know if anyone has any question. I checked on the chat box and I couldn't find any question. So I believe everyone understood um, what the instructor taught today. So in our next class, what we are going to do is to give assignments. So we need to also assess your level of assimilation. And today I forgot to drop the attendance. So please just give me a minute. Let me check for the attendance. Okay, I'm dropping it. Um, okay, I'm dropping the attendance now. So for those of you that are on YouTube, the attendance has been dropped. All you need to do is to click on it, fill the attendance, and the passcode is cybersecurity day 2. That's the course code rather. Cybersecurity day 2. By 10 o'clock at the dot, the attendance will no longer be available to fill. Those of you that are here, I'm dropping the attendance link also. So I'm also using this time to wait for those that have question. So if you have question, please drop it or mute to speak. Okay, thank you all. If you haven't um, subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that. And for those of you that love learning, you can also go through our previous trainings on YouTube, classes on AutoCAD, Aspen High Sys, Proto Structure, ANSYS, and all of that. So there are a lot of resources at your fingertips that you can utilize after this. And I would also love to implore you guys to um, install all necessary softwares before our next class. So I think our next course is AutoCAD, which is going to start from Monday. So please do everything in your power to install AutoCAD before Monday. That's why the software group has been created. If you're unable to do that, the week for training, no one is going to give you any response on software installation. You're expected to do that before your class. We won't be teaching you and also trying to sort out software installation at the same time. Primavera, AutoCAD, the link, and everything you need to assist to get it done has been provided. All you need to do is create time and install the software yourself. Thank you all for participating in today's class. We are going to see on Friday, same time, same station, same YouTube channel, same Zoom meeting. Thank you all and have a good night's rest.
All right. Good night, everyone. Good night.